A common argument that the Initial D community constantly gets into is what year span does Initial D's timeline take place in? As we can see in the anime, the Initial D more than likely takes place sometime in the late 1990s, but with the cars that made appearances and technology that was used throughout the anime, it really makes the idea of Initial D taking place in the 90s a bit confusing. And on top of that, the community really hates the idea of Initial D taking place in the 2010s. The most common answer is that it takes place in either 1993 to 1995 or 1996 to 1998. So using this timeline theory, let's look at every car in Initial D and figure out what it would be if Initial D really took place in the 90s. Oh yeah! In a clip from the first season, one of the main characters named Keisuke claims that his RX-7 FD shouldn't be beaten by a 10-year-old 8.6.
No mountain spec tuned FD should get served by some beat up 10-year-old clunker of an 8.6.
This clip clearly shows that this scene takes place 10 years after the Toyota AE86's official release, which was 1983 through 1987, meaning that the timeline truly takes place in a hybrid of the two spans I said in the intro, that being 1993 to 1997. Now, so it can be easier to select new cars for certain characters, let's say that Takumi's 8.6 Trueno was the 1987 model. Starting off with all the characters' names in alphabetical order, the first one on our list would be Aikawa's Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5. Aikawa was probably the rudest and most unsportsmanlike character in the entire series. His Evo had a Scotia white paint job, carbon fiber wing mirrors, and bronze Volk TE37 rims. The 5th generation Lancer Evolution came out in January 1998, so in order for it to properly fit in the timeline, Aikawa would have to drive a 1996 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 4. Luckily, there aren't too many exterior differences between the two models, so it wouldn't make a massive difference for this to be possible. Next up we have Atsuro Kawai's Nissan Skyline ER34 25 GT Turbo. A common misconception about Atsuro's ER34 is that it's a normal Bayside Blue R34 GTR, but it's actually in fact the rear-wheel drive variant known as the 25 GT Turbo. It's painted in dark blue pearl, has Panasport G7 rims, and a BNR34 rear bumper. The 25 GT Skyline didn't come out until 1998, so we have to downgrade it to a Nissan Skyline GT ST, which is the rear-wheel drive variant of the R33 GTR, which is a car we will use in the future. On to the next letter in alphabetical order, we have Bunta Fujiwara's Subaru Impreza WRX STI Coupe. This car is owned by Bunta, although it's occasionally driven by his son Takumi. It has a sonic blue mica paint job, but in the manga it's painted a metallic gray color. But the car in both the anime and manga have gold OEM rims. This car can sort of get a pass, although it has to be one of the first few thousand models produced, which were made in September 1997. But if we really want to get technical with it, he should be driving a 1996 WRX sedan. There's no character in Initial D whose name starts with a C from my knowledge, so we'll just move on to D, which is Daiki Ninomiya's Honda Civic EK9. This car falls under the same criteria as Bunta's Impreza. It has a sunlight yellow paint job, a spoon carbon wing lip spoiler and mirrors, and gray unidentified rims that are more than likely Volk TE37s. The EK9 was first released in August 1997 as a 3-door hatchback until 1999. But just to stay on the safe side, we'll swap his car with a 1994 Honda Civic SI/EG hatchback. And the same goes for the EK9 demo car that Tomoyuki used to race Takumi. All characters whose name starts with an E through G are in the clear, so we can just skip those characters. The next character is Kozo Godfoot Hoshino's Nissan Skyline R34. Remember when we said we'd be saving the R33 Skyline from Atsuro's GTST for the future? Well, now's the time to use it. It's painted in Millennium Jade and has Advan SA3R rims in the anime and arcade stage, but is painted a dark blue in the manga and certain model kits. The R34 Skyline was revealed in January 1999, so we have to change this car ASAP. That being to a 1995 Nissan Skyline GTR R33. But changing Kozo's car won't just change the accuracy of Initial D's timeline. It might also affect Kozo's performance in his race with Keisuke. In a scene where Hoshino is thinking about all the Skylines he's owned in his life, he states that he owned an R32 Skyline, then an R33, then sold the R33 to buy another R32, and now owns an R34. The reason why he switched back to an R32 after driving an R33 is because he said it was underwhelming and had poor performance. The R33's performance issue may have been from the fact that the R33 weighs 100 pounds heavier than the R32, meaning that certain techniques may not work the same way that it did in his R32. I personally think that Kozo would have lost to Keisuke from popping a tire and spinning out due to him trying to drift with worn out tires. The next character's name is Ichijo, who drives a 1999 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6. Ichijo was one of Aikawa's allies, which were one of the people who helped him spill the oil on the road to make Keisuke crash. The special thing about Ichijo's Evo 6 is that it's actually the Tommy McKinnon edition Evo, making it one of 2,500. Although, because most characters in Initial D drive different cars, I won't just give him another Evo 4 like how I did with Aikawa. Instead, I'll downgrade it even further to an Evo 2. I didn't give it an Evo 3 because one of the other characters already drove one. The next character's car has literally no business being in Initial D. It's Aikida's Nissan 350Z. This is stupid, to say the least. Like, why is a car made in 2002 in an anime based 6 years prior? That makes no sense.
You're certifiable, Quint, you know that? You're certifiable!
Anyway, Aikida's 350Z has quite a lot of aftermarket upgrades on his car. It's got an IGNS N-Spec body kit, forged racing TS06 rims, carbon wing mirrors, and painted in a burning red color. Luckily, the Nissan Z lineup has quite a lot of cars we can choose from prior to the 350Z. For this example, I'll use a 1995 Nissan 300ZX twin turbo. Although, I think putting a big wing on the back makes the car look a little ugly, so I'll just keep his car stock, but throw on some aftermarket rims to make it look nice. Our next character is Toshiya Joshima, who drives a Honda S2000. Joshima's S2000 is painted in Long Beach Blue Pearl, has a front lip from a company named... I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. A Cusco 3D carbon wing, a J's Racing Aero bonnet class hood, and Mugen MF10 bronze rims. The Honda S2000 wasn't made until April 15, 1999 to celebrate the company's 50th anniversary. The best alternative car we can give Joshima is either a 1994 Honda Civic Del Sol or a 1995 Honda Prelude. The only problem being that the two alternatives are front-wheel drive and not rear-wheel drive, but they have the same VTEC engine. Next up, we have Kobayakawa's Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 7. Kobayakawa's Evo 7 has a dandelion yellow paint job, a C West N1 front bumper with carbon fiber canards, a Voltex GT wing, Gandor side mirrors, Creative Sports hood, and a Gun Metallic Racing Heart CP rims. I'm getting a little tired of having to give Evo drivers an Initial D a Generation Evo prior to what they already drive, so let's switch it up a bit. Instead of just giving Kobayakawa an Evo 4, let's throw a curveball and give him a 1994 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. The Mitsubishi 3000 GT is one of Mitsubishi's most underrated cars ever made. All three generations of it were made between 1990 and 2000 with a 3.2-liter twin-turbo V6 engine. A big reason why many people don't talk about the 3000 GT is because of its extreme weight issue. See, the average JDM car weighs about 2,500 pounds, about 1,100 kilograms in European units, while the 3000 GT weighs between a whopping 3,000 to 3,700 pounds. It's basically the queso of JDM cars. Alright, we've only got 3 cars left and Initial D's timeline will be completely fixed. The next car doesn't necessarily need to be fixed, but I'm just changing it due to its difference in the manga. The car is Miki's 1995 Toyota Celica GT Notchback. Many people believe that Miki's Celica is an ST205 GT4 variant, but it's actually the ST204 GT Notchback version with the front end of an ST205. Although, considering the fact that Initial D takes place in Japan and the ST204 GT Notchback wasn't sold there, I'm assuming it's actually a Toyota Surin with the front end of a GT4. But personally, I'm not a big fan of the Surin or Notchback Celica, so I'll let him keep his original black ST205 from the manga. Either that, or keep the ST205 gray like how the Surin is in the anime. The next car was supposed to be between Daiki's EK9 Civic and Kozo Hoshino's R34 Skyline, but sadly I forgot to put the car in at the time, and I didn't realize until the last time I needed to edit this video. It's Kai Kogashiwa's Toyota MR2 Spider. In Initial D, Kai Kogashiwa owned 2 cars in the entire series. First, in the third stage movie, he drove a strong blue metallic Toyota MR2 SW20 with TRD Alumi K rims. And then in 5th stage, he drove a Toyota MR2 Spider with a complete C1 body kit. The Toyota MRS didn't come out until October 1999, so I'll just let him keep his original SW20 MR2. And lastly, the final car on the list required to fix Initial D's timeline for it to be strictly based in 1997 is Okuyama's Nissan Silvia S15 Spec R. It's got a brilliant blue paint job, a GP Sports G-Sonic Evolution widebody kit, white GP Sport Gullflame 18-inch rims, and a GP Sports 3D GT wing. The Nissan Silvia S15 was produced between 1999 and 2002, so we'll change this car to a Nissan Silvia S14. Sadly, there's no real-life variant of what this car would look like, so this Ignition Model S14 will have to do. I also recreated it in Need for Speed Unbound if anybody cares.
No!
So, after 10 minutes of straight yapping and information about some car anime that I have a genuine addiction to, we finally fixed Initial D's weird timeline. I'm not sure why Shuichi Sugino didn't keep using cars from 1997 and prior if he had planned to keep making Initial D manga volumes after its timeline ended. But if I had to guess, it's probably because newer cars just kept coming out and he wanted to find a way to use them, but in turn he sacrificed timeline accuracy for it. Which is understandable, but makes it a little confusing if being looked at from a realistic standpoint. I'm glad I got the ability to make this video before anybody else did, because Initial D's weird timeline is probably the most talked about thing when it comes to Initial D knowledge. But I hope this video gave viewers a realistic idea on how Initial D's timeline would be if it took place in real life. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and hope to see you on the next one.